Good day. My name is David Wild, and this is part two of a five-part presentation on Chapter 16 on Human Resource Management from Connect Master Management 2.0. Let's begin this part of the lecture by talking about the legal context of human resource management. There are a number of laws that affect human resource activities. Equal Employment Opportunity, or EEO laws, and executive orders are intended to end discrimination in the workplace. Discrimination means treating people differently because of characteristics they possess rather than on their ability to perform a particular job. This doesn't mean that people cannot be treated differently. Rather, it means that different treatment cannot be based on one of the following protected classes or classifications, these being race, sex, religion, color, national origin, age, disability, or veteran status. When we think about protected classes in employment, it is important to recognize that these categories are the primary reason for a discriminatory action. Sometimes this action might be in the form of disparate treatment. Disparate treatment refers to actions that are intentionally discriminating against someone based on their protected class status. Disparate impact, on the other hand, refers to actions that have unintended consequences which adversely affect a particular protected class of people. A third form of discrimination is harassment, which involves subjecting individuals to unwanted and unwelcome treatment due to their race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, or disability. Companies are also prohibited from retaliating against employees for complaining about discrimination, filing a charge of discrimination, or participating in an employment discrimination investigation or lawsuit. Table 2, taken from your text, which you see on your screen, provides an overview of the major federal laws enforced by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, that pertain to human resource activities. This provides a chronology of the major federal legislation related to human resource management. As you can see, it begins in 1963 with the Equal Pay Act, which requires women and men to be paid equally if they are performing equal work. 1964 saw the passage of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits employment discrimination on the basis of race, religion, sex, color, or national origin, and covers a wide range of employment decisions, including hiring, firing, pay, promotion, and working conditions. 1967 saw the passage of the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, the ADEA, which prohibits discrimination against workers over the age of 40 and restricts mandatory retirement. 1970 saw the enactment of OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, which establishes mandatory safety and health standards in organizations. Pregnancy discrimination was not outlawed until 1978. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act prohibits employment discrimination against women on the basis of pregnancy, childbirth, and related medical conditions. 1985's COBRA law, the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act, required continuing health coverage paid by the employee following termination from a job. 1986 saw the Immigration Reform and Control Act passed, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of natural origin or citizenship, except for illegal immigrants by employers having 4 or more employees. 1990 saw the enactment of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, which prohibits employment discrimination against individuals with disabilities and requires that employers make reasonable accommodations for such workers to enable them to perform their jobs. 1991 saw the enactment of another Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination, as does Title VII, and allows the awarding of punitive and compensatory damages, in addition to back pay, in cases of intentional discrimination. 1993 saw the enactment of the FMLA, the Family and Medical Leave Act, which requires employers with 50 or more employees to provide 12 weeks of unpaid leave for medical and family reasons, including paternity and the illness of a family member. 1994 saw the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act, which requires the rehiring of employees who are absent from military service with training and accommodations as needed. Finally, in 2009, we saw the enactment of the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which allows employees to challenge unequal pay within a certain time frame. So, in summary on the legal context of HRM, there are a large number of laws that impact human resource management activities within any organization. Equal employment opportunity laws and executive orders are intended to end discrimination in the workplace by protecting certain classifications, such as race, sex, religion, age, disability, and more. Now, let's proceed to talk about individual differences, recruitment, and selection. The HR system, workforce planning, and the legal environment provide the overarching context in which HR practices are put into action. The AMO framework provides an ongoing scheme for examining how key HR practices are important for managing employees, including managing skills, motivation, and opportunities to participate. Skill-oriented HR practices target the knowledge, skills, and abilities, the KSAs, of current and future employees. One of the key steps in making sure employees have the right KSAs is to be successful in hiring the right people and providing them with the right training and development for their jobs today and in the future through staffing and talent development. Staffing the organization is a two-step process. First, you need to recruit people to apply for jobs. Second, you need to select the right people for the jobs to excel in their positions today and in the future. Individual differences are those enduring psychological characteristics that distinguish us from one another, in contrast to values and attitudes that tend to be shaped by the world around us. Individual differences, such as personality, tend to be a part of who we are in terms of our traits. Although several personality dimensions have been identified and examined over the years, researchers have found there are 5 key dimensions that are most relevant in the workplace. These 5 dimensions are known as the Big 5 personality traits, and these include conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, emotional stability or neuroticism, and openness to experience. First, conscientiousness is characterized by striving for achievement, self-discipline, and orderliness. Extroversion can be thought of as displaying positive emotions and being talkative, active, excitement-seeking, and assertive. The characteristics that define agreeableness include compassion, trust, and straightforwardness. Fourth, we have emotional stability, referred to as neuroticism on the negative end of the continuum, which indicates the extent to which one is calm and steady under pressure, and less likely to experience feelings of anxiety, vulnerability, impulsiveness, and anger or hostility. Finally, the fifth of the Big Five personality traits is openness to experience, which is characterized by having an active imagination, intellectual curiosity, and a preference for variety over routine. Another individual difference of interest is a person's locus of control. Locus of control is defined as to be the extent to which individuals believe they have control over events in their own lives. Individuals with an internal locus of control, called internals, believe they are in charge of their fate through their own efforts. Individuals with an external locus of control, called externals, believe that outside forces, such as luck, will control their fate. Self-efficacy is the belief that one is capable of performing a task effectively. This belief drives motivation and perseverance in the face of challenges and determines whether one thinks in self-enhancing or self-debilitating ways. Emotional intelligence is the ability to reason about emotions, to manage emotions, and to use emotions and emotional knowledge to enhance thought. According to its originator, Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence is comprised of 4 domains, these being self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, and 12 competencies that are part of those domains. Recruitment. Recruitment refers to the activities managers engage in to encourage qualified people to pursue job opportunities in their organization. At a broad level, you can use internal or external recruitment. Internal recruitment is an approach that encourages current employees to consider other opportunities within their current organization. Compared to external recruitment, internal recruiting is often more cost-effective, and managers may be more comfortable hiring someone they already know. At the same time, external recruitment is a great method for bringing in new people and ideas into the organization. External recruitment involves encouraging people working somewhere else to apply to work for your organization. Some of the more common areas for external recruitment include the use of advertisements, online job sites, educational institutions, public employment agencies, along with private employment agencies, search firms or headhunters, or referrals from current employees. While the goal of recruitment is to generate as many qualified applicants for a position as possible, at some point you have to choose who to hire. Selection is the process of deciding who to hire for a vacant position. When we think about selection, we are really trying to predict future success. The goal is to use selection techniques to identify who is most likely to fulfill job duties in an effective way. Job applications are standardized forms that organizations use to collect information from job applicants about their KSAs. These are forms organizations create to ask prospective job candidates to describe their education and experience and list the names of references who might be contacted for additional information. Resumes are an overview of a job applicant's credentials, their KSAs, as well as relevant job experiences. One major difference between a resume and a job application is that resumes are created and updated by the applicant. Rather than asking applicants about their background and experiences, some organizations use employment tests, instruments to evaluate the level of some personal attribute that a job candidate possesses. When using an employment test, issues of reliability, which is the degree to which a test consistently measures the same thing, and validity, which is the extent to which a test measures a characteristic of interest without bias, are important. If a test is reliable, an applicant should receive similar scores or results over repeated administrations of the test. If a test is valid, it assesses the characteristic of interest, such as cognitive or physical ability or personality, in a non-biased way. Interviews are one of the most commonly used selection techniques. There are a variety of interview formats that you may use. First, you may use an unstructured or structured interview format. Unstructured interviews are a common format in which the interviewer does not follow a predetermined list of questions. In this interview format, different job applicants may experience very different interview questions and discussions. In contrast, structured interviews are an approach that establishes a set list of questions for each job candidate who is interviewed for the opening. These structured interview questions enable the comparison of how each candidate responds to the same questions. Situational interviews focus on asking job candidates how they would handle hypothetical situations. What would they do in different scenarios that would be common in the job they are applying to fill? Behavioral interviews ask candidates to respond to questions about their previous experiences in the workplace. As you can see on your screen, we have Table 3 taken from the text, which is an interesting read over questions that interviewers should avoid asking in job interviews, and that additionally, if you are being interviewed, you should not answer in a job interview. Some very useful information there on your screen. An additional strategy that many organizations use is reference or background checks for each job candidate. Reference checks involve contacting individuals who are familiar with the job candidate and are able to comment on the job applicant as a potential employee. Background checks focus on verifying information on the candidate's resume or application. So, in summary, in looking at individual differences, recruitment, and selection, managers need to think carefully about where they establish the relevant job market for open positions, because that influences how broadly they need to recruit. Managers also need to consider who are the right people for the organization. Beyond cognitive skills, individual differences such as personality, locus of control, self-efficacy, and emotional intelligence, all of which have been found to be related to work performance, may be important to consider during the staffing process. Once the right people are identified, organizations may recruit internally to fill positions or go outside the organization to find people working elsewhere to apply for work within the company. And once potential candidates are identified, selection tactics are used to narrow the list down to the final candidate to be selected, including various employment tests, structured and unstructured interviews, and reference checks. And with that, we'll end the second part of our lecture on Chapter 16 on Human Resource Management.